Hello and welcome to UK versus. We haven't been live since we were together in Sheffield. Feels like absolute ages ago, and we've a lot of stuff's gone down since then. We've had Las Vegas regionals, we've had all sorts of reveals, and well, everyone's getting ready for Star Championships. How are you doing, Richard?
Yeah, I'm all good. Obviously our first one back since Sheffield. I had my store championships at the weekend. Fortunately, we got to the eight we needed for the points. Unfortunately, I came second, so I played Chaos Toga 3. It was really fun. Felt very powerful. But we don't really tend to run meta stuff locally. So out of 8 of us there was me on Toga 3, there was a Genkai, there was Edge Shot on Void, there was Ectoplasm, there was a Night Eye, a Mirio, Giro 2, and a Mount Lady.
And was Gary on the Genkai? Because I do believe he was talking about it on Discord.
Yes, yeah, he was. So we played in the first round and ended up drawing. I think if I had another turn, I would have killed him. But yeah, we ended up drawing that one. And then basically what happened is round two, I got paired down into the round one, and he got paired up and won. And then we both won our last rounds. I played against the only player that was 2-0 in the last round, which was the Void Edge Shot, which was actually a really, really fun match. The game two, I had him dead to rights. Like his board was stunned out, he had nothing, and I just had a handful of gas. And he just and I also had two pass-through walls to counter his onboard cape and any barrier shield breaker nonsense. And he just managed to, again between ripping barrier shields off the top and Genkai's guidance. Somehow managed to survive, I think, on 2 or 3 life, and then I just gone all in, so he just killed me on the crackback. But yeah, his headshot deck was really, really fun. But yeah, we both won our last match because I got paired down round 2. Gary won the tiebreaker, so he gets 10 points and I get 5 for the old champs thing. It was a really fun event. Obviously, locals always fun because none of us play cringy younger to go row.
It's still a decent amount of points to get. I mean, I was talking with a couple of people the weekend, like Nathan Squire and Ben Watson, who were at regionals as well, and part of me was thinking that if we have to pay our own way and pay our own accommodation, which because some people say they might cover the hotel, I think that those 5 invites for points are going to go very far down the list. I can't imagine some of the people that go to regionals. If you take into account who's gonna Sam's already qualified, so that cuts it out. We're gonna have another 10 people qualify through getting points through placement, and asking someone after nationals within 3 weeks to pay for their accommodation, flights, and get all their travel documents done in 3 weeks is a huge ask, and we might see those invites just drop down.
Yes, absolutely. And almost certainly I think if I'm having to pay money towards it, I'm almost certainly going to have to back out because some Egypt's getting married next year. So
we've got Saki and Direct. We are going to get onto that briefly in a minute. We've got other things we want to complain about as well. But my Star Championships are Monday. I am making a push to get the 8 people. I personally really like this playmat. I know people like Cody and a couple of people were complaining in Facebook and on Discord about it. I really like it. I saw Luke's after the Sunday event in Sheffield where they had their playmat. From what I've heard, Luke's deck is disgusting. I'm not going to give away anything that he was doing because it's most likely going to be that. It's going to be a more advanced version of that for what he plays in regionals too. But it is a Jin. It's a Jin Void control list, which sounds so good.
Yeah, I chatted to him briefly at the regional, and he was sort of talking about it. I think Void's very, very good. Yeah. The playmat, we haven't got ours. I think there wasn't an expectation we were getting one. I didn't think it was supposed to be for season 1, but maybe it just hasn't arrived yet, and maybe arrive shortly.
Well, yeah.
Who
So
knows?
we've got ours on Monday, and I want to record it. I was initially not going to be able to go because Robin's away for their birthday recording, and they have ended their trip like a few hours early, and they're coming back, so I can go to this because they know how much I want to try and get these 10 points.
Yeah.
I want to try and record like I did last time, which means I can't play Younger to Go, which means I need to find something that's fun, but that can also win. Because I'm going to be going up against Mirko, Deku, Younger to Go, because I've got Aaron addicted to it now, Minata 2, Asui 3, Ed Shot Void. It's kind of like your meta, but with a couple of people who do really try hard.
Yeah, then play Toga. Like, I mean, basically, are they characters that are the defense in stage? If so, Toga's probably a good shout.
I could play Ryuku. I was thinking about
Mount Navy's also just big dum damage.
I was thinking about playing Endeavor because my Endeavor Earth list did really well at the side events because in the Heroes and Villains I went undefeated where I just started off with Endeavor, then went into Younger to Go and just.
I hear Order Endeavor's pretty good as well.
I've been saying that for weeks, and people had a go at me, and I was so proud and angry when Tim did it because I was like, I knew it was a thing. I knew, but we'll get into that hopefully when Tim jumps in. But he's currently still working. He's gonna let me know when he's ready to jump in. But yeah, a good thing that you did bring up there was you thought we won't get playmats for season 1. But
yeah, and I quite like that playmat. I think sometimes it's nice to have like a clean playmat. Like, you know, there's infinite playmats to go around. Like, if you don't like this one, that's fine. There'll be one you like.
But we did get the playmats for season 2, which are going to be girl power with local championships all on the background, similar to the top 8, which are again they're really cool. Not something I would play, something I would like, but I'm not going to go as hard as I will for this. The current one with like the universe's local championships sparked some kind of nostalgia for me, like old cinema trips where you like get on the screen and it had all that glittery stuff. Yeah. I don't know if anyone else is getting that kind of vibe. Have you seen the promos as well?
Yes, so it's keeping Eri safe, and then one of the new cards from Girl Power, right?
It is. It's the new kick, which is a very, very good attack. Essentially, it's another draw sense for Altogo if it hits, and it's keeping Eri safe, which is really cool. I know some Deku collectors are gonna want the XR versions. I really like this, and I think it's going to pair nicely with the. If I can find the actual, I had all this put for here.
Yeah, this is what that kick is the 4/4 all order void response after it deals damage. Draw a card. If they've got 8 foundations, draw another card.
Something like that. But the keeping Gary safe with the Mirio will pair very nicely with the Mirio convention promo that was handed out over the weekend, which was a complete surprise. Apparently, these only got out the printer on Wednesday, Thursday. So they were only available at the event. I have checked with people that were there, and these are con exclusive. Some people were saying that they might come to us in season 2, but no. I've been told this is a level up exclusive.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, and that's probably why they didn't announce it, because maybe they weren't 100% sure their printers were going to be ready. So it would be bad if they said, "Yeah, anyone come along, get one of these promo mirrors," and they don't have them. That would be a terrible disaster. But it's very similar to the Gen Con situation, right? Obviously, those people that attended had to pay a premium because it's at the convention. They obviously have to then spend some of that convention time playing in the tournament. So giving them a little bit extra, not a problem. Never had an issue with that.
100%. This is going to... It's a great offset as well, because everyone got one for taking part, and then you could go up to Universe's booth and get another one, which means it can offset some of the money that people have been that had to pay to get into level up. Because we all know...
I'd imagine these will easily go for like $20-$30.
Oh, 100%. I did try and outsource, and hopefully someone has got a nice stack for me. I just need to figure out how much they want for the stack, and then I will distribute that. Once that stack gets to me, I will distribute I say stack, but it's like 7 cards. Once it gets it, I'll try and distribute them out to people who really want them, because I know Apple was losing his mind trying to get a hold of one, and then uh,
Yeah, I mean, Apple never watches the stream. I don't know. I don't think he deserves one.
I did
But
get
maybe if you do get one, maybe you could put one aside. Not a little kind of yearly giveaway thing on your anniversary.
I did get in trouble with Squire because he was showing me Berserk playmats on Dueling Guard, and I was saying I've been waiting for my deck box and folder I ordered in February. And he's like, "Why didn't you tell me in February?" I was like, "I did mention it on the stream." He's like, "I listened to your stream driving, so I can't look up stuff there, and I forget when I get to get home, I get to work." So if you're listening now, Squire, once again I apologize. If I see any other Berserk paraphernalia that we can use in this game, I will let you know immediately. He does like to taunt me about Berserk. But yeah, this Mirio promo is clean, it's beautiful. It reminds me of the 2019 Gen Con stuff.
Yeah, which ones are those?
All Might 3, Deku, and Bakugo. Like, it's the All Might 3 with like all the lights going past him. Like he's in hyperspace?
Yes, vaguely, yeah.
But yeah, I really like that promo. As Sekiyanda. Yeah, we're briefly touching it because, as Sekiyanda said, this is a very weird move from UVS to put a card called Condescending Explanation in a set called Girl Power, because as the community immediately caught on, it's literally a card called Mansplaining in a Girl Power set. And to be fair, I do love, taking away from the name, I do love the irony that it has an explanation for First Enhance on a card called Condescending Explanation. Any other set, chef's kiss, that's a great troll. But in a set called Girl Power,
is this the only one where First Enhance has been?
There'll be a couple. The arts
reminder text.
Yeah, there'll be more. It's just great flavor there. It's just basically all the back page characters being pretty much all guys, and the cards being very high power level does seem to take away from some of the power of the girls, of the women in the set. Because I was super hyped for Midnight, and all I'm hearing from people now is Decay Awakening is so cool, and the new Deku attack that gets +1 for kick cards gives St. Louis Strike even more utility. No one's really talking about the main set anymore. They're all talking about the back page, and maybe that's because we're still getting them previewed, but everyone's just kind of sort of talking about how these back page cards fit into existing decks. No one is kind of salty. And maybe I'm just still salty because Magni didn't get in the set.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you can be sorry about Magni. Magni was in the show for 5 minutes. That's fine. And again, you've got to remember this. A lot of this is about what sells packs, right? Some of it, and and I appreciate the sort of the trans representation, but I don't think Magni is a particularly popular character. I may be completely wrong. So when with limited slots, I don't think she was ever going to necessarily fit in. But yeah, all the back page stuff seemingly being almost like a power level above the rest of it is weird. And I think it's especially jarring because so far there's been a lot that's been quite underwhelming, and I think that's been the sort of sentiment. So when we've seen some of these back page cards that look very exciting, very powerful, it's just that contrast, right?
Yeah.
Again, almost certainly not by deliberately. But yeah, it's weird. For example, this condescending explanation looks very powerful.
Oh, it is.
And unfortunately, it isn't the first time they've ever reminder texted First Enhance. That would have been absolutely perfect if they had, but it's not by a long shot. But yeah, it's it's a similar thing to Decoy Duplicate, right? But slightly different symbols. So yeah, Evil and Water instead of Chaos, and another one I can't remember.
So Decoy Duplicate is all Chaos Void, This
Yeah.
is evil void water, so you can play them both.
Yeah. Yeah. So Void gets infinite amounts of yeet now.
So Void has Genkai's Guidance, Decoy Duplicate, Cape, uh, Interdimensional Sphere, this, as well as damage reduction, draw power, light health gain. It is a pillow fort symbol now.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing is you need to work out how you generate a momentum on Void, because a lot of these things like this and Decoy do need that momentum. But yeah,
Elasticity, but elasticity can do it on
yeah,
stun.
there's ways of doing it, right?
Yeah,
But like,
rejuvenate smash and discard, and because it's void, you can discard with both hands coaching. Yeah, void is just absolutely nuts at the minute.
yeah. I mean, I've always been a big fan of Void, so yeah, this card's very good. But yeah, it's just, I mean, it may well be that we've underestimated some of those previous big, the big kits, and there's more going on there, but that remains to be seen.
Since we last streamed as well, we had Sean Johnson, our best TO in the EU, argumentatively, was asking what characters we thought were going to get chromes, and then a couple of days later, we got the list, and if anyone gets an Asui Chrome, Sean gets first dibs. Anyone on the island of the United Kingdom, if you get an Asui Chrome, offer it. If you're going to sell it, offer it to Sean first. That's just how it has to go. After that, I know a few people that want them, but what do you think of
who's the guy that wants the Mirko?
Rob Gregg.
Yeah.
Rob Gregg, and then if you're willing to send it abroad, I imagine Chris Smith will be after them. Mirko is going to Mirko is going to be there because to die by fire is the way of the warrior. I'm a bit disappointed Woman didn't get one. I thought Woman would be a very cool one to get a chrome.
Yeah, again, there's a certain amount of the relationship I'm sure they've got with Toho is that they need to put characters front and center. So for example, when they're doing a gold paraset, they probably have to make sure that Asui, Momo, and Araka are like front and center on most things, and Toga as well, probably. I guess.
Even in a gold power set, I imagine Bakugo, Deku, and Shoto had to show up in some way, which they have on attacks.
Yeah, and so like Mirko is probably the slot that would have been the 1-on-1, right? But again, I think he's quite a popular character. Yeah. So,
but Mirko's very powerful. I think Momo could have possibly been Woman, but Momo's still very powerful himself. But yeah, these Chrome, the Toga one is so clean. I want a Toga one just to put next to my Dabby one. Because it looks so good.
The Toga one looks, again, I think these are chromes that will look almost different in person on the screen, right? Because that was like my initial, when they first previewed the Toga one, it was like, this looks a bit weird. But seeing it in like the lineup with the 5 of them, maybe, I think these will look better in person. I think probably the Achako one is the best looking one, like in the action shot. It's a shame Achako is pretty bad. Yeah. But yeah, they're chromes. They're going to be popular.
So Asui and Toga are my favorites. Asui just again, this is a brand new Chrome style they're trying out, which I'm all for because they're still finding their footing with it. The Asui one looks very cool with like the 3D thing coming out. The Toga one reminds me of like a shonen anime scene, like in Hunter x Hunter or One Punch Man, where everything slows down because the character's going so quickly. It's sort of like Toga just coming round for the strike, which I think that's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking to the wrong person when you want to talk about shonen anime, but yeah, they look cool. They're going to be chased for. People are going to want a Momo one because Momo's probably the most playable out of these 5, maybe.
You say that with Quan Chi 3 right there.
Sure. Yeah, Quan Chi. Yeah. I think Momo's the one of these, certainly from the main page characters, people have sort of gravitated to because she's just a cool idea, right? People
Yeah.
like that concept of Highlander, like that just playing lots of one-offs and pressing all my buttons. I think a lot of people are going to gravitate towards that. I don't really know how good Mirko is or not. Asui looks cool.
Mirko is,
but she's a five-hander, so I'm never going to play it. I think a Chaco's pretty bad. And yeah, Toga's either below, like a bit below fine, and I don't think anywhere in between.
I think until Randos gets banned, Toga is going to be an issue, or if she gets that day one errata that she can't copy herself because of how much draw and discard her symbols have. Momo's just a great concept as is, and her attacks and foundations have got utility everywhere. Ochako isn't great. Asui is a great locals character. I 100% expect lots of locals to be playing Asui with some decent range cards, with Award the Victor and nice recycling. But it's kind of, her abilities require you to check attacks, which is not what you want to do.
Yeah.
So you need a way to change your checks, which, Chaos has a lot of ways of doing. Mirko is great, but she suffers from the Dabby 3 problem, which is all of her stuff is better in Mina 2. Just like all of Dabby's stuff was better in Shigaraki 3. Everything that Mirko's trying to do, Mina 2 does better.
It is fair. I mean, Mina 2 does better than a lot of people.
Mina 2 got so powerful this set. That new Minato attack that got spoiled yesterday that can go to negative difficulty because they didn't put a floor on it.
Yeah.
That is, and it's a ranged attack, so you just get to launch it at the end of a massive string from Mina 2 with no progressive difficulty and minus to the difficulty, and go, yeah, let's go. And the fact they give it Earth as well, so you can do it in Overhaul. You can be like, oh, you blocked all 5 of these attack. I'm going to play a face down with no progressive. Oh, it's on a 2. Let's go. It's so dumb. I love it. But yeah, the chromes look really, really cool. I am super hyped to see these get pulled. I also like.
I'm sure Harry locally will pull 3 of them, like just because.
this is Harry. I also like that chromes are no longer in the thousands because of how commonplace they become. They're kind of settling at like the 300, 400 mark when they as a standard now.
Yeah, some of these might, these ones because waifu tax.
Yeah.
They might go a bit higher, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean that's sort of, I think where they've settled in that sort of 300 to 500 mark rate.
Yeah, 100%. I expect them to kind of settle around that mark. So while we're just going on through here, let's talk about the NA finals, but the fallout from the NA top cuts for international players, because something happened that I don't think any of us was expecting, and that was Discord decided to just start having a go at international players.
Was it just Andrew?
No, it was a few people. I've blanked them out from here. But it was basically because all the younger to go's lost in the top 8. People started basically going that NAs are a cut above, or NA is better, or have higher skill than international players, because they hasn't won an NA event yet. Tam won with Asui on the webcam, and now Tim Kiefer's won with Endeavour. So Younger to Go hasn't taken one that hasn't had an asterisk next to it, because the Wish tournament was really cool. It was invite only.
And the Wish tournament was its own thing, and I think
a lot of stuff went down there.
UVS Games probably want to scrap the Wish tournament from history, ideally.
But yeah, it's just a few. These are the ones that someone was monitoring, because on Saturday I was quite busy, so I think on Sunday I was a little bit busy, which is why also part of why we didn't stream. so I didn't get to see this stuff. Someone told me about it. I asked them to go get the messages. They went and got it. I deleted people's names. But yeah, it's just talking about. There's a lot of things saying like a step ahead or a level higher or something like that, and talk about their level of skill. And when I actually approached one person about this, and they were saying that it's a numbers game. So if 20% of players are true contenders, then in the NA event there was like 18. There was 20 people that could 20 people that could be considered true contenders, but there was only 9 in the EU. And I immediately take, knowing the players in the EU, limiting that to 9 people that you expected to top cut and walk away is insane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna clap back here. This is the usual. Well, I say usual. This is the view that some of our cousins over the pond sometimes take, which is when something's different, they assume that their version is better.
As Ross Toss was saying, one of the youngest girls match literally went to a sudden death, first person to lose health sort of situation, and there was a lot of big names in that top cut who weren't playing younger to go, and that's also a massive thing to take into account. If Bromberg,
I also take like that last comment, the US step. Honestly, the higher the skill level, but the less younger is a problem. Is complete nonsense and utterly disregards what the actual problem is.
yeah,
but that was my fault, Apple. The reason we didn't have Tokyo Army win.
that yeah.
And also, actually, no, we were ahead because we had Ojiro win, right? So we were ahead of the curve. Like we had people realize Ojiro was fucking busted before anyone else did.
That's just it. That's what I was going to bring up. That's what a lot of people have said all through last year when they were going over our events. Looking at that second comment where it's like the US meta is I'm going to find the most efficient way to wreck you. That's what they say about us.
Yeah, and also like people enjoy the game differently, and
if you
and like basically the underlying thing here is that the EU events weren't competitive, and damn sure they were, right? And there are people who will turn up with their fun deck because they don't really give a shit, right?
Yeah.
Like for example, like Gary's good at the game, he wanted to win games, he didn't really care about the result, so he turned up with Shin, right? Because that's what he wanted to do. And still, got a reasonable record because he can play the game.
That's just it. But yeah,
the idea that skill level becomes the less younger is a problem is complete nonsense.
No.
Like, I think the idea that younger can't be beaten, sure, no, it can. Of course, it can. You can beat younger, and I think that's a lot of the reason a lot of people were looking at Amajiki because I think he's probably got a good matchup into younger, right? But younger is a problem because he just does monkey things, right? You don't really have to think, and like it's nothing to do with skill level. It's just like there are some decks that just do not match up well into what he's doing at all, and he just steamrolls any sort of other sort of characters in that sphere. Yes, you can play sort of control-y characters that can just beat him on speed and card draw, and eventually they'll get him, like your Jins and your Amajikis. But to say he's not a problem because the higher the skill level becomes, it's just a nonsense comment and it's poorly thought through.
Yeah, it goes back to the Ojiro 2 meta that you're saying. We had an Ojiro win, and then NA, he showed up. He got top 8, but he didn't win, and he kept showing up to events but not winning. And it's a case of, Ojiro was still a problem. Ojiro still had to be touched, but people started to learn how to play against him. But that did not mean that he wasn't a problem. It was you had to play the game a completely different way and in an unfair way. Going back to the event,
and also that kind of is a maybe not understanding what actually a good win rate for a deck is looking like, right? Like if you over the course of a tournament, when you look at say a character, right, if it's getting wildly over a top over 50% win rate, then that suggests it's very good. Like and like the conversion rate, I think is the outlier here from younger over a Swiss tournament, right? And in a top cut, sure, people get knocked out in top cuts. So sometimes you don't draw hot, your opponent does. You check a 3 when you check a 5 and you lose, right? That's just top cut sport. It doesn't really matter the character. But over the course of a Swiss tournament, when you look at the conversion rate of the amount of younger Tagoros into the top cuts from all of those tournaments, based on the percentage of younger Tagoros that were in the tournament, their conversion rate's pretty insane.
Yeah, that's
Right
just it. And
now, Oceania, obviously love those growth bits. Obviously, small sample size, but again, high conversion rate. I think 44 is a reasonable-ish sample size, and we had 9 and 4 got into the top 8.
yeah,
Pretty nuts.
we've won at
Um,
ninth as well.
yeah, and then I think I don't remember the numbers for NA, but again,
107, I think.
yeah,
107 with, I think, 18 on younger to go and 3 made it into the top. But those 3 were Kings of Swiss. All 3, it was first, second, and third were all younger to go.
And I would imagine if you looked at 8 to 16 in the US, I'd imagine there's a whole bunch of youngers there.
And as Apple says, 2 or 3 were just missing on the bubble.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest issues was a lot of the younger to goes in EU got paired up early. I went up against Klaxo really early. I think Apple had a mirror match throughout the Swiss. I went up against Ben in round 6. So out of 9 younger to goes, I faced off against 2 and I was one myself. So that's a third accounted for there.
It's like what was it? Was it a Kissimmee event or was it Kansas? I think it was again with I can't remember where. It was after the Oceania Ojiro 2 event where Tam had his legendary sort of Deku run, and it was like everyone knew Ojiro 2 was a problem.
Yeah,
no one really wanted to play in the event, but the hand banned him yet, right? So I think there's a lot of people that just don't want to play the cringe, so they don't. And also, I think at that event, a lot of the Ojiro 2s were just knocking each other out, and I think that's probably similar here, where a lot of
we've got Connor Legs of Steel Middlegrass in the chat saying that his last 3 matches were all mirrors, and he was a younger to go. Apple saying that he had another mirror match in round 5 or 6. So basically, we all knocked each other out at the end. Which is insane to think about. It's like if the pairings had been different, if Ryuku had got up against Mike instead, if I hadn't got paired down into Ben, we would have had more people, more younger to goes in there because it's really insane to think about that, and that's why he definitely needs touching. And as much as I hate to say it, Azur probably needs touching as well, especially with what's coming in.
Maybe. I mean, I think maybe Azure's fine. I'm not sure. Yes. Obviously, national metas are different, right? But we don't really have a national meta to an extent because we only really gather at these things, right? At these events, and for the most part, we're fairly split out, sporadic in terms of over the country, in terms of the play groups. Obviously the game isn't huge here. You've got spits and spots of play groups, so we don't have sort of 10, 15 player play groups really very many places. Obviously Sheffield's reasonably big. I imagine the one up in Scotland's reasonably sized, but we don't obviously again. Our one down in Hastings, having been able to get to sort of 8 to 10 players, is one of the biggest in the country. So you don't have lots of meta testing. And for example, nobody a younger Toguro locally ever. In fact, actually, that's not quite true. Leading up in the to the weekend of the event, I'm actually chatting together. I'm okay, one of us needs to build a younger Toguro just so we can test what we want to play into it, just so we know how it works. But nobody wants to play these stuff, and there is a looking down upon kind of viewpoint within these messages rather than we just enjoy the game differently. Fuck those guys.
Yeah, it's again, like the comment just saying, "Oh, we just find the most efficient way to wreck you." It's like, no, the EU meta is we play so much faster and we play so much more cavalier with like I'm just gonna throw attacks until you die, and maybe that is part of the skill level because uh, when I last year when I went on my whole thing of learning control, yeah, knowing when to go in is a big thing.
I don't think that's true at all. Actually, I don't think that's true at all. Like, so for example, like my game against Ben, who came second, like I knew I had to aggress, so tried, but like he didn't monkey with his younger Tagoro, right? He was very controlled with it and sort of went in when he could go in or when he had to, because I was putting too much pressure on him. So it's like, well, I have to go in now, or else I might just not survive the crackback.
Yeah.
But
Apple in chat is saying that Mob Strike and Struggling need to get hit. I do agree with Mob Strike. I think Mob Strike and Rando's Spirit Gun probably should never have been reprinted. They restrict design too much. But Struggling is needed. It's
maybe not.
It's
I agree with Apple. Like I think there are 4 cards that could realistically be looked at for touching. That's Azure, Mop Strike, Struggling. And Rando, and then probably Younger to Go himself. I think Younger to Go himself with the character is the issue, underlying things here, and then see how things lie. But
so, what would you? I asked a few people who were playing Younger to Go on the interviews. If you haven't seen them, they're quick, like 1-2 minute interviews on the YouTube channel. People have been loving them, so I'm going to make sure I do a lot more when we do the next regionals. But Richard, how would you fix Younger to Go?
Make him 5-hander, easy.
Just that, nothing else.
Yeah. It means he just doesn't get those turn 1 builds every so often. Like he's going to have 5-hand size problems. Like he just the acceleration is going to be nowhere near as huge as a 5-hander. Like he's going to run into a lot more consistency issues as a 5-hander. Again, he's not going to accelerate his board anywhere near as much. He's not going to be able to hold defense as much. If he wants to push his damage, like he has to kind of commit stuff to his board and rather than be able to build out if he wants to hold blocks. Other than that, it becomes much more of a decision point having that 1 less card and getting not being able to have those early turn 1 builds. Like he's much less likely to turn 2 you. Because it doesn't have as much, even if he manages, if he builds 3 or 4, like again, it's just much less likely. I think he'd still be powerful, but I think just taking that card away makes a huge difference.
No, I mean, I think slapping commit on his response is also 5-hander makes sense, but slapping commit on his response stops the progression cheating, stops a lot of the abuse that's coming in, and it highlights that I'm done attacking.
Yeah, I think it kneecaps him too much, to be honest.
I think it needs it. Being able to build down and then go, like, if you're on 5, go, my first attack's coming at you with +2, all my rest of my attacks coming at you with +3 is a little bit crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's an option. I think it fundamentally kneecaps the character. So, I mean, and yeah, you can do it early and you give up on the damage, like in that situation. But I think just making him a 5-hander seems the most elegant way of doing it for me.
That's right. I mean, they did slap commit on Ojo 2 when he kind of just died.
But yeah, they double kneecapped him, right?
Yeah, he also got he got changed to speed or damage, didn't he, as well?
Yeah. They doubled.
They
double tapped Ojo to make sure he was never getting back up.
What do you think about the current rise of people asking for an unerrata on Kirishima 2?
I think they do not understand what a cost benefit analysis is. I think the benefit of doing so, the potential costs of doing so, where he becomes a problem again, far outweigh the potential benefits of just unerrataing him. I just don't think it's worth it. I think that there's very, very little to be gained, and they just look so dumb if he was a problem again. So I just don't think it's worth it at all.
That's fair. I mean, he's still got a lot of symbols which have a lot of dropout behind them. I mean, Kirishima 2 with Battle Law release does seem a little bit spicy. So I can get behind that. Uh, I'm really looking forward to like the stuff that we've seen for Girl Power. Uh, I really hope Lenoko's taken some PTO because he has been he's traveled pretty much around the world these last 3 weeks.
We took him out for a cheeky Nando's. What more does he want?
We did indeed take him out to a cheeky Nando's, uh, and a half decent curry. That curry was really nice.
Yes, it was. And no, it was it was good to catch up with Guile, and just sort of chat with him a bit, and sort of have a drinky pill or two. Nothing too crazy because we're all old men now, and so don't do that anymore. But no, it was really, and again, just really cool to see everyone at regionals again. Obviously, big congratulations to Sam for winning. Maybe a lot of people, not people know Sam very well, but he's part of like Claco's sort of group down in the Essex, and very very good player. So
I mean,
we had an interesting top 8. The 4 youngest, but like
7 of the top 8 were very decent and very strong players. Kyle Rock's Mimic is the standout. I mean, our interview with him has gone over 200 people because it's also got a little deck profile in there. I'm getting bombarded with comments and messages on it about how cool the deck is, and people are building it. They're taking it to locals. They're finding they're winning with it, and they're seeing how amazingly consistent it is. And I'm passing all this on to Kyle, and Kyle's absolutely loving it. So
I think Mimic's a very underexplored character, right? I think he is very, very good. Like he breaks a fundamental rule of the game, so there's something there. And the previous character that he's effectively a reskin of, or not a reskin, like a redo of, was banned because it was busted. In Combat Ash. But he could do it. He could just commit assets as foundations whenever he wanted, rather than once per check. So
I mean, we did have Mimic make it to the top of NA as well. So there's definitely a line where Mimic is definitely an outlier. Overhaul was like an EU exclusive, but that was former EU champion Nathan James, and I did
I think partly because he was lazy and couldn't be asked to build anything else.
No, he actually put work into this list with Reese.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it were Reese who made top 16 in EU Nats, also an overhaul. They both put a lot of work into this list. Nathan made some changes, which apparently he regretted, because I got to play against Nathan's list in the heroes and villains. And fair play to them, they were exploiting the meta. Everyone was running all high attacks and like had showdowns and stuff for the highs. So Nathan's deck was all lows. It's like
I think that was something he like there. I think his nationals list was not mono lows, but it was very low heavy.
It still had a couple of mids, but it had no highs because again, repeated smash was the big bad there, and people were running highs. So Nathan got to top 16 with mono low overhaul, and it's still a half decent threat. Definitely kept.
I mean, Max Punch is very good. Maximum Overhaul is very good. I love Hellflame Stomp. I'm just looking. It's very high difficult. Like Stalagmite Pierce is like a 1-off, fine. Yeah, just like Piercing Thorn Lances as a throw seems pretty decent.
We've seen Amajiki with Arm of the Wolf, because Arm of the Wolf can just kill people. It got me from 15 in top 8.
Amajiki's very, very good at the moment. Like again, I think he's one of those. I think over the course of these events, those have shown themselves to be the top 2 dogs, really. Like Younger and Amajiki, I think.
Amajiki is a great counter because you get to reduce damage. You're very, very defensive, and your attacks are coming in for a lot of damage, as well as you have access to all the answers you need to kind of control Younger Toguro. Declan's Ryuku, we've got the interview. Declan goes live either tomorrow or Thursday. I need to double check. But people were very surprised of how little attacks he's actually running. I think it was like 15 attacks, because he's running many. He's running so many blank cards and so much draw power that he's just drawing into them. As during our stream game, and I believe he was streamed in his top 8 game as well. he just always has the gas.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. Is like as long as you draw one, you then draw the rest of them, right? Um, I guess is how his thing is working.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Adam in here talking about Genkai. Genkai, very, very powerful character, very, very annoying character. I do love that Genkai is kind of the counter character to Younger to Go, which is she's trying to reduce the damage by
He's
discarding
talking
cards from
about
hand.
Genkai's guidance, I think.
Hmm?
I think he's talking about Genkai's guidance.
Genkai's guidance is just. I didn't see my Genkai's guidance. I think in my game against Mike, I literally checked both of them after I put them in, which kind of sucked. And I did use my always cool on the wrong thing, but I've definitely come around to Genkai's guidance. It was in my sideboard. I'm probably going to have to move it to main. I thought 3 foundations was hefty, but it's so good.
It doesn't matter if it keeps you alive, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's like you will pay any if the option is pay any other cost or lose the game. The option is always pay any other cost, right? Yeah. So it is hefty, but it feels a good and balanced card, right? 3 foundations is a hefty cost, but it's very powerful, so it feels fair.
I think looking at my Younger to Go list, I think the biggest difference is that I was running to the other 3. I cut back on the number of Azores I was running. I was only running 2 rather than 4, which may have been a mistake, but I was talking with Keenan Meadows about it, and I was saying, if I'm only running if I'm only like 3 lows, 4 mids, and then 13 highs, they're gonna hold mids and highs and go, if he's got the low, he's got the low. So I wanted to cut the Azores back so people, so in Swiss, people saw them like, okay, I need to hold mids. If I checked them, if I played them, and then I wanted to rely on things like Gouging Needle to be my finishers because I was running a one-off Gouging Needles.
Yeah, Gouging is very, very good. Right, it was really solid for the weekend.
Saved me.
It's that 0 high block on it as well. And I think a lot of the guys over in the States were cutting Azure from their lists.
It's very cool to give the -1 to their check, but you don't really need it if you're just throwing lots of attacks.
No, because you're not really doing speed. So what does that 1 extra speed really matter? The main thing is from it is it's like a effectively non-progressive attack, right? And that's the big benefit you're getting from it. But yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of people that agree with you. Like, for example, Christos, his top 8 list was not playing any Azures.
Yeah.
Like George, he was playing the full set.
And the other one was an all list, so that's But yeah, I think the biggest difference between mine was the sideboard, where I had the 3 cheerful uppercuts. And speaking with Ben over the week, he's added cheerful uppercut to his sideboard because he's realised how good of a utility card that actually is. And
I've always been a big fan of cheerful uppercut. I mean, not as much a fan as you, but again, cheerful is just a very, very good defensive piece, right?
Round 1 against Steven, it saved my life. I was dead on the board until I got to block with 2 cheerful uppercuts, and he's like, "Yeah, I can't kill you through +2 progressive." And against Declan, he was all set to take my cheerful uppercut at 9 damage until I discarded the momentum, and he's like, "I can't take 13, I die." So I had to block this 5 speed attack and use up a lot of resources to not die. So yeah, I've always been high on cheerful uppercut. It's probably double jab pummel and cheerful uppercut are then cheerful uppercut are cards I say if you can play them, you should be playing them because they're just great utility cards.
Stupid Karasu.
Yeah, I was looking. If you use Genkai's guidance against Karasu, that's +3 damage. I did have a thought about that. There is a format called Tag where I was playing, but my partner for Tag unfortunately has had to step away from the game for a little bit, so we're not be able to record anything new. But the next thing I was going to try was a Dabi 1 Karasu deck, where the idea was to make this massive attack, give it throw, have them blow up all their foundations, and then just switch to Karasu off momentum and just give all my attacks plus like ridiculous damage.
Fair.
Which is just really, really dumb. And Tag is a very, very fun format for casual play. But I'm just gonna quickly message Mr. Keith, see if
Your Discord.
oh yeah. Thank you. Probably should have cut your camera off there. But right, just let me do it. There you go. Okay, but yes. Yeah, I regionals was a lot of fun. Got to play against Nezu, got to play against Karasu, got to play against a lot of decks I wasn't expecting. I saw Chu floating around, a couple of Karamas.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's just like, just because we're not meta slaves does not mean that the EU is a worse meta game.
I think it's a very...
I think that's a very, very blinkered way of looking at things.
Yeah, it's a very ignorant mindset to go, younger to go didn't win our events, clearly we're better. And it's like, no. That's not the takeaway to do here. I mean, if I win 3 out of 4 games I play, if I win 2 out of 3 games I play, my third opponent can't then just go, yes, I am better than the other 2 people you beat. It's like, are you though? Are you? That's not how that works. That's the transfer property done very badly.
Yeah, I think my favorite list by far was Kevin's. His weapons Amajiki was sweet.
Oh, I've not had a chance to look through them all. I had a brief look at Tim's because as I said, I was very high on trying to play this kind of weapon, this order walk the dog endeavor, and I was talked out of it by people.
So trust you got, but yeah, because I caught his quarter final against George Zhang, who's the I think the current reigning US national champion, who was playing younger, and it was an insane match. I think really well played on both parts. I think game 1, Kevin just goes maximum greed, which I believe he is wont to do, and somehow kind of doesn't get max punished. Gets there. Game 2 is like, because obviously you've got, I think it's an hour and a half, isn't it, for top cuts now?
9 minutes.
Yeah. They both go to mega deadlock. And Kevin's just got like 3 incredible displays in stage. So he's just like, block with the high block, incredible display, block with the high block, incredible display, block with high block. Okay. Like George is trying to sculpt hand and try and get through, failing. Kevin is just kind of poking back and forth. They're both getting down to very low life, and like basically getting to the point where it looks like Kevin's trying to just stabilize and mill him out because George has lost a lot of his attacks to cycle. He's lost attacks to deception daggers. He's got attacks in his stage from the building down and hasn't been blowing them up to cycle them back into his deck. So he's getting very, very low, and it's getting to the point where I think George has like basically a turn left. So Kevin, I think, opens his hand. He's just like, well, I need to just survive George's next turn. I'm okay. I think what happened on that turn was I think Kevin drew a hand with no high block foundation because Kevin just went in for the kill and got him down to 1. Because George had kind of extended a lot on the previous turn, knowing his time's running out. So was heavily committed from his stage. I mean, I think he still had like 10 or 15 ready out of his, like, maybe he had 10 ready out of his 20 or 25 like foundations. Kevin just goes all in, gets into one. George somehow lives, and then just draws enough attacks where Kevin can take the first one. But then I think takes the first one, half blocks the second, goes to one life, and then George got the third one to kill him. But yeah, they basically finished game 2, so they're drawing, and that's time on the round. Virtually, I think they might. I think the time on the stream was probably a bit off compared to what they had, because obviously stream time was usually a bit different. So they're effectively almost in sudden death. So I think Kevin gets an early poke, gets some damage in, and then it's just a case of he just sort of has to survive, because like effectively George's life total differential, his percentage is worse than Kevin's at that point. So yeah, he sort of takes that match in the first use of like those official top cuts tiebreaker rules, and I think it proved their worth, right? Because that is a game where they're both playing out of their minds. They're both playing decks that can potentially kill early, but also are quite happy going in that long game. And they would have been there probably for another hour or two if they'd have maybe continued on to that game 3 fully. So I think it was it's not the perfect way of finishing that match. But I think it was reasonable in the circumstances, and I think it's better than it going on for another couple of hours and holding everyone up.
It's the kind of game you expect to see from the former world champ and the current NA champ.
Yes, yeah. As Apple's saying in chat, the sideboard options were next level. George was playing Gory Stabs. I think he had all 4 in his sideboard. Actually, I think he had at least 3. It might have been all 4. I can quickly check. Probably knowing that Amajiki is like a counter to Toguro, maybe not necessarily a full counter, but certainly one of the top players in the meta. So Gory Stab being a great option against Amajiki to say, okay, if you block me, then you're losing that momentum that you need to stay alive.
And they need to block it because it's still going to be a lot of damage.
Because if at a certain point, you can't. Amajiki's DR doesn't really do anything against younger Toguro.
Yeah. But I mean, Kraken and not in the weapons list, of course, but using Deception Dagger to gain an extra stun too. There's still a lot of face up momentum stuff that can be used to hurt.
Yeah, and he was playing the Sakaki one. So if you ever checks it, that's effectively another free momentum.
The one of Awestrike was very, very cool.
Yeah, and the one of True 100% Unleashed, again, that came in because effectively is at a point where Kevin needed 2 resets for it and only had effectively the 1. So he again took a whole big chunk of damage from that. But yeah, it's a game that's well worth going back and watching on the Twitch replay, because it was a really, really, really fun match. And yeah, it was there was a certain point where Kevin just said, I need to kind of go to deadlock, because I can't just sit here and I'll get killed.
So Mr. Keith has got back to me, and he's currently about half an hour to 40 minutes away from finishing work.
Okay.
So I'm being ready to do it. So I didn't know if you wanted to keep going or if we should reschedule Mr. Keith and see if we can get him on Sunday, or do another stream at some point during the week.
Yeah, well, it's going to go quite late here, isn't it? So, as long as he's okay with maybe rescheduling and doing it on Sunday, maybe.
Yeah. So we have got our 1-year anniversary coming a week on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to arrange some we have some stuff to give away. I've got some stuff I need to double check that we can give away. One of the things we did want to give away, we've been told by UVS we can't give away. So we're going to try and sort that out to give it away a bit later. We got given some promos by Card Goblin. Love Card Goblin. Great stuff. I may have inspired them to do a tournament at the next regionals called the Goblin Cup.
Okay.
I've got some boxes. I've got some playmats. I just need to figure out what we're actually going to do on stream. Uh,
Yeah.
I'd like to do another, like, get some people in for a quiz, get some people in for a guess the card sort of thing. It's kind. I
I want
know.
to do something fun.
Yeah, it's one of those things that
Um,
I'd like to even if you can't be there for the start of it, I'd like to go live maybe a bit earlier or stay a bit later and to sort of do a bit of a longer sort of celebration.
on the Sunday.
It's a Friday the 10th.
Okay, we don't need to keep it. We don't have to have the anniversary stream being exactly on the Friday, though,
Okay.
right?
I
We
mean,
can do it on the Sunday because then anyone can join it effectively.
that's fair. The main thing about Sunday is, won't you be pre-releasing?
Um,
That's what I was,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why yeah.
probably.
That's why I thought the Friday would be better, because Saturday and Friday some people might be pre-releasing, but the majority of pre-releases will be Saturday, Sunday, won't they?
Yeah, I imagine there's going to be plenty Friday night though. Yeah, it's awkward timing all around, I guess, on that one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the only other option would be to maybe do it on that following Tuesday.
Possibly, I will try and work. We'll try and work something out.
Yeah,
Ideally, I would prefer to try and have it on the actual anniversary. But I know what you're saying. We do it on Sunday, so having it on Sunday would be good. And
yeah.
it would still be 9 o'clock Sunday, which means most of the pre-releases will be over. It's whether you want to do it after pre-releasing.
Um, please hold caller. I'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah, we'll sort something out. I mean, I when we figure that stuff out, I want to get some people back in for guess the card, but do it live. Like, have the cards out in front of me, because now I've got 2 cameras. I can do that.
Yeah.
I want to do a quiz, because when I was doing Keyforge stuff, I really love doing quizzes about stuff like that. And I think there's enough stuff, kind of like bands, erratas, and interesting bits of information, that I can do a 30-question quiz quite easily and get some people into use the extension. And that's something that chat can play along as well.
And also, chat, if you've got any ideas, so whether that's obviously you guys watching on Twitch at the moment or anyone watching on YouTube, if you've got any ideas of what you think we should do, any sort of other cool things we could do as a sort of celebration, feel free to sort of either let us know in chat, let us know in comments, join our Discord, let us know on there. But yeah, if you've got any ideas what we can do, that'd be great. We're happy to sort of listen to you guys.
Yeah, well, that's what. Yeah, it's a celebration for us doing it for a year. Which, honestly, I'm very surprised we've reached that point. I'm especially not sick of me by this point. And
I mean, these things are not mutually exclusive.
And it's a big thank you to everyone that has stuck around, supported. That has a big shout out to like the people, like, as much as we have sort of like a love-hate relationship with him, Mr. Holder has helped us out a lot with audio, pointed out that we need to fix that. It's been great, like, hearing people talking at regionals and at other events about how much they love listening to us, and how much we have made a difference to the gameplay. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, Richard, but having people tell me they're fans of what we're doing is like, I never expected people to actually.
Nobody says that to me.
I get it a lot, but I also get it a lot from like a couple of years ago when I played Dabby. I get a lot of people tell me that like I inspired them to look outside the meta and stuff like that. I was like, I feel, and then quite rightly, Mr. Guile, aka Lenoco, at regionals pointed out I have fallen from grace, from being an off-meta character to being a sweaty meta character. That now
exactly.
I feel like I have to, as much as I want CP and I want to be one of the only people to go to Worlds 3 times in a row, I feel like I've been challenged to now play off-meta characters again. And I did play today against Bakugo 4. I took Younger to go off. I slapped Dabby 1 on that deck, and it still crushes. Just be able, it's more consistent because you go like Mob Strike and they go, the next one's coming in with +3. This is only 4 damage. I don't want to block a 4 damage attack when the next one comes in with +3, and you can kind of just poke around a little bit. So I might be giving that a try, just slapping some stuff on Dabby. But that was really cool. We'll sort some out, Mr. Keith. I probably just messed up the time zones because I thought it was around this time. I did put Mr. Keith maybe when I was putting the stuff out there. So anyone that was here for Mr. Keith, I do apologize. It's hopefully he'll be here for the next one.
Yeah, we'll make sure we arrange a time that he can make. So obviously, he's very kindly giving his time for us, so we will make sure we organise with him. But
that's just it. And do check out Setonis on YouTube and on Twitch as well. There'll be a deck profile for the NA deck coming from that once he gets time to do it. But I think I think we've gone through. We've exhausted everything we wanted to do because we were prepared for everything else. So is there anything else you wanted to talk about or add?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered most stuff. Like obviously, I think we've only got a few more of the previews to come, and then obviously it's pre-releases soon for everyone.
Yeah, I was mistaken. I do apologise from when we were at the pub last weekend. The alt-win condition hasn't been spoiled yet.
Has it not?
No, the alt-win condition is what most people are waiting for now. They expect it to be the last one. Okay. Either way, I am very excited for tomorrow because I think tomorrow is going to be very important.
Why?
Because it's gonna be May.
Right, I'm leaving.
Got him! Got him! That's the second person I've got with that today. I love when preview season overlaps with this.
Thank you for watching along. Ignore that dork in the top. Yeah, obviously, thanks everyone for Twitch watching along. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, once again, thank you very much for watching. Do click all the buttons; it does really help. The like, subscribe, comment, come join our Discord, and say hello and join us in over there. And we will catch you next time. Hopefully, without
just one last thing from myself. After speaking to Mr. Carl Rock, if you are, no offense to our NA brothers, but if you're in the UK community and you want to be featured on the channel, if you have a deck you think's cool, or if you just want to get your name out in the community, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to sit down, do community interviews, get some community deck lists up there, and see what people in the EU community are running and what they think is a cool and fun deck. Because I want to get more people's name out there. I want to get more decks out there. And I think it's really cool content to spread what the EU community is actually getting up to.
Yeah.
But yeah, as we said, like, subscribe, comment, tell us how good or how bad we're doing. Let us know what we should be doing for our 1 year anniversary. And we'll catch you all on Sunday.
Yeah, catch you later, peeps.